so just a quick review of who is Arteco for those of you who are new to us. Been around for a long time. We are a completely self-funded, no venture capital business. We've been in business actually since 1987, if you go back far enough. In 1996, we really started off in what we call machine vision analytics for industrial automation. So that was really giving machines the power of sight for rules-based analytics in the industrial automation process. We took that technology and we said, you know what, let's expand this out. What other types of industries can we look at with machine vision analytics? And so right around the early 2000s, we started applying machine vision analytics to analog video cameras as a sensor. Everyone thought that was going to be, post 9/11, that was going to be catching the bad guy. What we found out over time was that where machine vision analytics worked very well was in trespassing applications, focusing your attention, focusing the operator's attention on real-time events happening, being a very proactive security, and then also managing your resources, right? So why are we storing video at the same frame rate, same resolution? Right around that time, IP cameras were taking off. We really started focusing on how do we partner with key camera manufacturers in the industry. And one of our big breakouts was with Hanwha, where we are actually, at that time it was Samsung, but we actually took our license plate recognition app and we made it the first app that was completely loadable and functional at the edge on the Hanwha WiseNet 3 chipset at that time. And now, of course, as most of you know, they're all the way up to WiseNet 7. So been a great partnership, was really eye-opening for us on all the things that you can do when you're not a closed system. So for us, we're kind of the anti-silo approach. We're very much about being open, about integration. In fact, we developed something called Open Connector, which is a super easy to use XML portal into our platform that allows for two-way metadata exchange. So with that, we started opening up and bringing in access control, intrusion, fire, face recognition. It also allowed us to get into different vertical markets like warehouse management software. For those of you who know us well, you know that we do quite a bit of work in the cannabis industry. So obviously the seed to sale tracking software, the environmental sensors, all of that really kind of stemmed from Open Connector and has really kind of flourished as a product line for us. More recently, we've gotten into where we work with video monitoring companies that are using our platform for the actual baseline video monitoring. They're relying on the real-time analytics. They're relying on the alert notification, all of the event notifications, and really using the platform to its fullest extent. And then during 2020, as everyone was going into lockdown, we really kind of hunkered down, and it was time to revamp our analytics package. We partnered with a company called VSAAS for our video content analytics, and really took their engine and built, made it our own. So we have deep learning, AI, if you want to do color-based searching, object-based searching, object classification, counting, that's all in our Arteco VSAAS line. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. So 2021 and beyond, this was kind of our big year to refresh our software. About every 5 years, we go through just a refresh, kind of breathe some new life into our software from a look and feel, and then also from a functionality standpoint. And this year, we come out with OMNIA. So just in a couple hours, for those of you who are on IPVM, we'll actually be presenting on IPVM for our OMNIA Hybrid Cloud solution, which is our VSAAS product. But OMNIA is an ecosystem of software. It has an on-prem VMS. It has a completely VSAAS VMS. It also has our deep learning AI analytics, our insight tool, which is data analytics reporting tool, face factor, which is a facial recognition and identity match, and then of course LPR, which is really one of the things we're well known for throughout the industry. So we're going to take a look at all of these things as I'm going through. Before I do that, though, I just want to talk about when we talk about what sets Arteco apart from the competition, we really categorize this into two things, right? We look at vitamins, right? Those are strengths, things that make you strong, make you healthy, and painkillers, ways that we can take pain out of the market for our customers, both our resellers, our distributors, and then also our end users. So let's take a look at the vitamins. What makes us strong with Arteco? first and foremost, we give you the option. Do you want a traditional on-prem VMS or do you want a VSAAS offering? We're going to go into depth on what those two things mean. For our on-premise VMS, it's a forever license, right? That's a strength for our product. You get 2 years of free upgrades, but there's never a time where that license expires or it doesn't work. You'll always get technical support from Arteco. You can add upgrades, for future years, or you can just do an a la carte upgrade in the future after those 2 years expire. For our cloud managed VSAAS, it's forever updates. It's a VSAAS product, so as long as you're, part of the program, you always get those updates. So it's a huge offering that, the great thing about it is it's all web-based. Every time someone signs in, they have the latest and greatest. So it's a really cool from that standpoint. Hang on. So I lost my flow there a little bit. Okay. Encryption is huge for us. We're doing some of the most advanced, classified as military grade encryption for HTTPS, 2048 RSA keys. We've spent a lot of time focusing on how do we make this product as secure as possible. So we have all sorts of documentation that we can share with you on that. What's really cool is we can do hardware as a service. It's just not something you're really seeing in the market, and we're going to talk about that. So when we start talking about operational expense versus capital expense, hardware as a service, being able to roll that into your video surveillance as a service as a monthly fee is a huge advantage in the market. Also, for our integrator partners, a recurring monthly revenue program. That's kind of what we're all wanting over a number of years. You hear all these things, RMR and video surveillance, RMR. We really believe we've developed a great program for this, and we're going to share that with you. And then an online license dashboard. So everything that you can manage, all of your customers, all of your licensing, that's all done through our online account. And incidentally, that's also how you sign into your VSAAS account. So it's all done through our online website. What are some of the painkillers? How are we taking the pain out of the market? We look at, quite frankly, in the VMS market specifically, there's a lot of gotchas when it comes to pricing, when it comes to products. What can I do? What can't I do? And when we sat down and we looked at this program, we said, how do we remove the pain, right? How do we make it so it's easy to do business? So first and foremost, there's no reoccurring fees on that on-premise VMS. You buy the license, you own the license. You can mix licenses, license levels on the same server. So maybe you need some more advanced enterprise level functionality on some cameras, but guess what? On some cameras, other cameras, you don't. Why should you have to pay across the board for the enterprise licensing? We allow you to mix and match those licenses on the same hardware. Don't lock you into a specific camera brand. We are camera agnostic. And at last count, I think we had 10,000 plus models of cameras that we integrated with. So obviously the big guys, Bosch, Hanwha, Axis, we do all of their functionality. We are OnViv, Profile G, and Profile S, soon to be Profile T. So we do a lot with OnViv, and then we also can do generic RTSP. So your camera, your choice. We're not going to lock you in. We're not into holding people hostage. And another thing with that, along those same lines, is customers, even with our VSAAS product, the customer owns their video storage. So, when you go to like a cloud hosted application, you really have to read the fine print on who owns this video, right? If I stop paying, do I still have access to video evidence that something happened? More than likely, the answer is no. With Arteco, you own that storage. You can always access it, even if you stop paying for the VSAAS. So no or low. I call it low upfront costs for VSAAS, but really, you're looking at this as an operational expense. You can just start going with your hardware as a service, with your software as a service. The only caveat is you will pay for your storage. So you buy that storage, you own the storage with the VSAAS product. And that's because we are a cloud managed, not cloud hosted. So you can buy as much storage as you want. We're not going to dock you on, oh, this guy has 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever you need, that's what you get. And then a huge painkiller is it's a multi-platform uniform experience with our web client, which we'll take a look at. How many times have you seen it where, okay, my desktop VMS has this functionality, my web client has this functionality, now I have an app and everything's different. We focused on, with our web platform, making it a unified experience. So much so that as my account, if I sign in on my phone, the configuration is literally saved from the last time I signed in on my browser. Really, really taking a lot of pain, focus on removing that pain and making it, a multi-platform unified experience. It doesn't matter if it's PC, Mac, phone, tablet, you're always going to have the same experience. Okay, enough of my gapping about that. All right, let's move into the OMNIA ecosystem. And this is just going to go through just what's new with Arteco, all the new products. First and foremost, they are on-premise. We've completely refreshed our VMS experience. You have a new skin. There's an improved user experience. We'll kind of take a look at this. We support GPU acceleration, and it's agnostic GPU acceleration on our client. So it doesn't matter if you have an NVIDIA or what brand you have. Even if you have your onboard GPU, like in your laptop, we're still taking advantage of that for acceleration. So for multi-monitor management, viewing more cameras on the same single view, it's much more efficient from that standpoint. We've added some, kind of cool stuff, like you can manage your licenses. You can do multiple device additions. So if you want to add a whole range of IPs at one time, you can simply put in the first IP address and the last IP address, the camera name, and then the user ID and password, and boom, you can add all of those up there. We've also improved our video exportation, so you can actually queue up, multiple cameras across an entire, if you had an incident, you want to export all the video at the same time, you can do that. So there's a few other cool things we've done, and I'll kind of show you. I think probably most of you on the call have at least seen Arteco Next previously, which was our former desktop client. So we'll go through and just kind of show you the highlights on the OMNIA VMS in the live view. You still have all the same great event-based video management. We're really seeing the desktop kind of moving more into that security operation or monitoring environment, and the web client being more for what I would call a casual user, a manager or an owner, or someone who just needs to get in and quickly see those cameras. So you can see the long list of everything we integrate these days. That list is ever expanding. But guess what? No matter what you get, you always have your event properties window. So if I double click on an event, I have a very expanded view of that live camera, as well as exactly what triggered the alarm. I can one-click export that video, one-click export a snapshot. You have all the metadata there. You can have emergency information, bookmark, set priority, even add notes, and that's all in one clean window that you can access. Okay, moving right along, let's talk about the OMNIA Web Client, which is our VSAAS product. This is a cloud managed or a hybrid system is our approach. And as I said, just a quick plug for those of you who are IPVM members, we will be doing an in-depth hybrid cloud solution demo just in a couple hours here today. So you'll get to hear me talk more. So anyways, what's great about the hybrid cloud solution is as we talked about, it works on any browser. Fantastic high-end military-grade encryption. You actually sign in through your My Arteco credentials, and from there, that's how you add all your access to your servers. So we'll take a look at that. Frequent updates, you never need to install an update, right? As soon as you log in, you're in the most recent version. So it's completely cloud managed. Your database, your credentials, your user profiles, your layouts, everything is managed through the cloud. You're just accessing your storage locally on the server that's on site. So once again, they pay for their storage and move along. We really don't control that. What are some of the key benefits with the hybrid cloud? It's fast and easy to use. You can manage cameras and maps. Super flexible from a layout position. You can, and we'll take a look in live view, some of these key components. You want to move cameras around, if you want to change your configuration. There's a lot of real nice creature features built into this. such as picture-in-picture mode. It has a universal fish eye dewarping, so you can dewarp any camera that's 360 hemispheric. You have both options of static maps or geolocation maps, so through Google Map with Street View. So pretty cool stuff. You can still manage all your events with thumbnails, search, filtering, sorting. We can do that. And you can also export events as a PDF report. So we'll take a look at how we do that real quick. And why do we call this a hybrid cloud? So OMNIA is a cloud managed VSAAS. What does that mean? That means all of your storage is local, but all of your software is managed in the cloud. So, think about your configuration, your database, access to the recordings, everything's done through the internet connection. It also includes OMNIA Insight, which is our big data and reporting tool, and that's 100% cloud hosted. So that is all done through Amazon Web Service. So between that mixture, you have a true hybrid system, and we're pretty excited about. We feel like we've given the best of both worlds on that. So some key customer benefits. Obviously, it's complete. We talked about that. Your freedom to choose devices, servers, storage. It's kind of the anti-hostage as a service, right? You have the freedom to choose whatever you want. Zero cost surprises. They know what they pay every month. It's billed out quarterly, but once again, it's that operational expense. Can I get started, get going at a low monthly fee rather than doling out a huge capital expense for my install. Your updates are all included, cross-platform. We've gone over that in depth. It's cloud-based analysis, which is our insight tool. We'll talk about that, and then hardware as a service. So we'll jump into those things. Now, the hardware as a service, incidentally, is optional. So is the cloud-based analytics. So if you want to do the reporting tool, business intelligence, those are add-ons. You have different levels. You don't have to do those things per se. OMNIA VCA is our deep learning. So, this is our most advanced analytics engine. We now have launched deep learning object tracker and deep learning people tracker. With object tracker, you have a built-in group of libraries. I'll just tell a quick story real quick. Obviously, you can see, person, car, bus, van, truck. We had a customer, a longtime customer, who actually is on this call, one of them, who had a situation where they were needing to know if a person came in proximity with a forklift. Now, the forklift is not part of our DL object tracker, but in working with the VCA team, we were able to get that added in, and being able to successfully detect, hey, I want to know when there's a person who's close by, within 2 meters of a forklift. So once again, it's just about that communication. It's about new opportunities. You design these things and you go out into the real world, and then you need to really kind of be able to modify and grow and react to what the market is doing. So pretty excited about VCA. Once again, those deep learning libraries are built in. It's the same price. You get the object tracker, you get the people tracker. And we'll take a look at the live people tracker when we go into the software. OMNIA Face Factor. This is our new facial recognition. It's what can you do with it? You can search for a face based on bioparameters. So hey, I want to classify. Show me everyone who had glasses. Show me everyone who had sunglasses or a hat, for example. You can also match in your VMS. You can match and say, hey, this person's on-prem, or this person's on-prem and they're not in the database. And last but not least, you can search by an image. So if you have a still image that you export from the VMS, even from a camera that doesn't have the facial recognition, you can upload that into Face Factor and search through the database for where you've seen that face in a given time range. And this just kind of shows you just and this is a web-based search platform that you can do. It doesn't affect your VMS, doesn't affect your recordings. You still have all those events coming into the VMS, but this is just a way that you could search for it. OMNIA Insight. This is something this is a true cloud hosted platform. And what is it used for? It's used for business intelligence. So you can see things like, how many alarms am I getting per site? Are my servers up? Are my cameras up? How many alarms are specific operators addressing, one versus the other? What types of alarms am I getting at each location? You can also receive diagnostic alerts. So if a camera goes down for X amount of time, which is all configurable, or a server goes down, you can actually receive an email notification on that. So this is a great tool to kind of make sense of the sea of data that's being generated by VMS, complete IoT-based system. It actually goes out and it signs into all of your servers. It doesn't affect your VMS at all. It signs into those locations, it pulls this data, and then puts it into reports. So very cool. It's one of the key trends, big data, and we're super excited to have that. What else? OMNIA LPR. This is something we've been waiting for a little while. Everyone is as I mentioned, even on the onset of our conversation, we've gained a pretty good reputation with Hanwha, with WiseNet, for our work in the LPR app. But what a lot of people don't realize is we actually deliver LPR in 3 different ways. OMNIA LPR server is brand new. It can work with any camera. It requires a PC. You can manage multiple LPR cameras from a single PC. Sorry, I've got a lot of people coming in here. We also integrate with specialty ALPR cameras. So there's a whole list of cameras on the market where they have their own optical character recognition built in. Where would you use those? High-speed applications, right? Hey, I want to be able to detect LPR when vehicles are going, 85, 90 miles per hour. A lot of people look at it and they say, well, I've tried it with the WiseNet camera, and that I was really only able to get successful reads at 50 or lower. Okay, that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. We do have other options that we can provide to you, but once again, that's where the partnership comes in. Talking to us, giving our opinion. We'll find the solution that's right for you, but we have to know what that is. We have to know that there's what the challenge is, and if we know the challenge, then we can get an answer for you. What's new with LPR Server 2.0? We'll just kind of take a closer look at that. So first and foremost, what we're super excited about is you can actually use a much wider field of view. That's always been one of the challenges, even with on the WiseNet side, is for it to work, at a high accuracy level. It really needed to be a very tight field of view. So what happens is that camera is kind of the value of that camera from a security standpoint is spent on LPR. With LPR Server, we do a much wider field of view. We can still record that channel in color and then just use the black and white filter for when we're doing LPR reads. So other than that, the functionality that you're used to on the WiseNet side is very similar. You have the 4 schedulable lists. You can still send out events through JSON or HTTP. You can send out images through FTP. So very similar from the functionality. What's interesting is since we now use the CPU of the PC or server instead of the onboard processing of the camera, we're just able to do much wider field of view from a processing standpoint. Okay. All right, I got through all that. I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick. And we're gonna jump over to the software. Let me just check real quick and see if there's any questions in the chat. Not seeing any, but maybe Arteco guys, if you're there, if you have access to the chat, if you can let me know if any questions come up. And once again, if you have questions on any of that information, please just add it to the chat window, and we will get to those.
Yeah, absolutely,
right.
Steve. I'm on it.
Okay, thanks, Art. Knew somebody else was there. All right, so let's get over. And we're going to first thing we're going to take a look at is the desktop. So the desktop software, we really tried to maintain a lot of the key functionalities of Arteco Next, but we also, as I said, we wanted to breathe kind of new life into the look and feel. So really went with a dark high contrast background. And you get, but you still have all the same kind of creature features, right? If you want your instant playback, if you want to move windows around or auto hide windows, you can still do that. And then, of course, if you want to just, view an event, you just double click on it. And the first thing you'll notice, for those of you who are familiar with Next, is we've really retooled this and we've lent a lot more focus on the actual video of the event. So it's a much larger screen. On the top, you have the live view. On the bottom, you have whatever triggered that alarm. So we can see it's just this gentleman coming through here. So now if I wanted to, export, pause that, I can zoom in on it. I can export that as a snapshot, get that cropped view and export that as a snapshot. Or I can just one-click export it as a video. And you can see it lines up those times for me. All I really need to do is give it a name and hit OK, and it'll export that video. I also have the key metadata. So by metadata, I mean what's the event ID, what server did it come from, what camera did it come from, what zone did it come from, what time did it happen, who viewed it, in this case the user is Arteco, and what time they viewed it. So all that's vital information, especially when we go back and start running reports on our events. You can also have contact info. So, hey, if this event happens, we want you to call, Bob at such and such, and here's his phone number, and here's what to do if you have an event. You can bookmark this, you can set priority for it, and you can add notes. So all I need to do is hit OK. It says, you sure you want to do that? I say, yes, I do. And now that is part of this record, right? That note is part of this record. If someone else comes in, adds a new note, that becomes part of the record also. So try to make it very straightforward, similar to what you've seen from Next, obviously. But once again, just kind of a new kind of refresh. We moved all of the kind of file, menu, view, help, all that information is now over here. We've changed it so you only have two key environments, live and search. Obviously, live is everything to do with live, and search is everything to do in recordings. So once I change to search, I can very easily just search. I can change and say, you know what, show me the last 12 hours. And I want just all the cameras that are on the field of view. I hit search. And immediately that returns all of the events on the left side. So I can just click on the event, as well as the timeline on the right side. So once again, making that super easy. So now maybe I want to, hey, show me what was happening on those other cameras at that same time. I just choose more cameras, hit play, and that timeline is already there. I can see exactly what was happening from that event that I was looking at on the left side. Now, specifically, we talked about previously the object track, the deep learning people tracker. So on this particular camera, we do have, see this little plus sign right here? That means there's auxiliary recording on that particular camera. So if I expand that out, you can see I have indoor office hallway VCA and indoor office hallway VCA auxiliary. And the reason we do that is if you want to see the metadata on that particular camera in the recordings, you can actually go back. Here, let me just do this. We'll skip up to the next event, and then we'll play both. Oops. So on the left-hand side, we have just the standard recording. On the right-hand side, we have the metadata coming from that deep learning people tracker. So once again, being able to see that information, have it recorded on screen. You don't have to record it if you don't want to record two streams, but a lot of people want to be able to go back and say, okay, this was very specific to what I was looking for. I want to search for that video. Okay. And then, of course, if I want to do, a specific search, maybe, I want to kind of go through and do a smart search or something along those lines. I can just choose, hey, show me anytime we've had a person come through. We'll just type person. And we'll just do this doorway here. And then this would be the smart search. So now you can see, you know, just in that timeline, you know, anytime you've had a specific person come through that area. And that lends itself to really anything that's integrated into Arteco. If you have access control, you know, we talked about face factor, anything that would give an identity, you can type the name of the person. If you're looking for a vehicle, you know, we're really kind of streamlining that search process in our desktop client. Okay. Last but not least, for anyone who's on the technical side, just a couple things we've included. At the server level, if you want to do, here, let me just jump in over to Demo US. If you wanted to add, the multiple devices as we talked about, you can do a manual add. And now there's where you have the first IP, last IP, all that information. You can add those. We also have implemented an auditing feature. So if you want to audit and say, hey, show me what's happened in the last hour by a specific person, for example, you can do that and just see all the information of everything that someone's done on this site, on this particular server in the last hour. So pretty cool features. We're excited about it. We've had some great feedback on kind of the look and feel, and we're continuing to push that forward. Now, one thing I wanted to show you is, so if I go, I'm going to do restore environment, and this will give me kind of the default look and feel of the software. So just kind of keep that in your mind. I'm going to close this out, and we're going to launch into the web client. So once again, I just saved this web address on my desktop. I go in, open it up, and basically it's going to load, it's signing into my account online, and then it's going to load everything in for my web client. And one thing we did was we really try to keep the same look and feel. So you'll notice for the most part, you have the same kind of button iconography on the left. But we really wanted this to be more of a, kind of focused on the end user, right? The person who's going to be getting in there and looking at information, and they just need to be more on the casual side from a user standpoint. You still have all the access to our deep learning algorithms. Whatever, that doesn't affect it on the licensing side. It all translates over to the web account. Here we can see this is a live view. Some of these are recorded loops, but this is actual live view. So you can see, as people come through here, we're going to get detections of all of the things that we saw in that library. So there he goes, his bike. In person, if he has a backpack on, it'll pick that up. So super impressed on how fast and real time these detections are in the deep learning. You can see he just picked up his bag there at 72%. Incidentally, on the deep learning, you always get a reading, a score of where the algorithm is rating itself on accuracy. So people will say, so what's your accuracy on your object detection? Well, it's right there on the screen. It's a real-time accuracy rating that it's scoring itself. Okay, so that's full screen. We can also jump in and maybe I want to do picture-in-picture, for example. So I can just pull that camera out, and now I can keep that on my desktop. I can size it if I want, and now I can go back to doing my work. If I'm looking for something very specific, hey, this is a camera that it's my job. I need to make sure I'm watching the front door. That's going to translate to your phone, your tablet, your laptop. You still have all the same functionality. So here we actually detected this guy because he stood there long enough. You can tell because that changed to red. Okay. What are some of the other cool things we've built back into this software? First and foremost, the video itself is very responsive, very fast. You get nice, clean images that builds up. If I want to just do a quick playback of the last 5, 10, or 30 minutes, I have those quick controls right there. As far as dewarping, we talked about, on the fisheye side, you can go in, you have that capability, whether you're on your phone, whether you're on tablet, PC, whoa, hello. You have that capability to go in there and do the dewarping. You also have integration with maps. So this has geolocated maps. So with Google Maps, you can access that camera directly on the Google Map. So we can go back to this trusty camera we looked at before. I can even map myself to that camera. So great for technicians. Hey, I'm having this issue with a particular camera. Okay, let me see where it is. Where am I in proximity on my phone? I can just Google map it directly to that camera. You can also change this to satellite view. So still have the access. Guess what? You can even do street view. So just dropping that guy right on the street. Now I just have to spin around and find it. And there it is. I can still access that camera. Note this in particular camera, what it's showing you is it has 886 events that are associated with it. So I can either play the last event or I can just go directly to live view. So let's take a look at events real quick and how we've incorporated the event management into the web client. So up here you can see it shows I have 14,920 events. That's a lot of events. But there's really great ways that we can filter this. So first and foremost, I have my built-in filters. I can say, you know what, only show me events from a particular server. Only show me these types of events. In this case, I have violated area. You know, there's a whole list of different filters that I can apply. So now once I hit save, I filtered that down from, 14,000 to 4,000. So I've taken away 10,000 alarms on that. So once again, pretty easy, pretty straightforward on how to do it. Let's go back into these filters. We'll take that guy off and let's save that again. So I want to show you just a different event. Okay, so another thing you can do is maybe you want to look and say, hey, show me I know it happened at the entrance. So I start typing in entrance and it automatically sorts all my events by that keyword search. So now I've narrowed it down and I said, yep, this is the alarm that I was looking for. I see a snapshot of that person. I see the video playing of that person leaving. You know what? I want a closer view of that. Let's go full screen. Oh, I see that that's Enrico. He's leaving for the day. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Now I want to export that event as a report. So I'm going to click Send Event. Notice that gives me a PDF download immediately. I can open that up and now I have the snapshot and I have all the key metadata. We are going to include sharing apps as part of this. So think about your WhatsApps, your Skype, all of those different sharing apps from a comm standpoint that you can share that information. All right, so we'll head back over. This is kind of the quick event recap. If I just want to go through kind of quickly. If I want to do a more advanced search on my events, I can come over here to my little bell. And what that's going to do is give me just a full screen dashboard of all of those alarms. So now I have, quite a few different filters. Everything's built up here on the top. So once again, giving you a lot of control over the entire experience. All right, so I'm going to go back in. Let's go back to live. A couple more things I want to show you on the web client, and then we'll kind of wrap some things up with some questions. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll go back over to this warehouse view. And if I want to lend more real estate just to my cameras, I can hide this taskbar over here. I can also do some cool things like, you know what, I don't like all that black space on my field of view. I want to change that. Hit cover mode, automatically stretches those out and gives you just complete cover. Now I do have admittedly, I have a bit of a weird monitor. It's more of like a letterbox style monitor. So it does kind of stretch those out, but just kind of beware. I can also do, coming out of cover mode, we have something called free mode view. And in free mode view, that allows me to move these cameras around, resize them however I want. So if I want, one particular camera to be large, I can scroll down. I can really have a lot of control over a web client as far as the look and feel. What's cool about this is, like I said before, if I open it up on my phone, it has the exact same configuration. So whatever I save, since everything's saved in the cloud, you know, as soon as I open it up from a different device, I hold that configuration. So pretty neat stuff. The guys have done a really great job, and we're pretty excited about it. One last thing I want to show you just real quick is the OMNIA Insight. So we'll jump into OMNIA Insight. You can see I can launch that directly from my OMNIA web client. I have cool dashboard where I have just, you know, diagnostics of events that are happening right now. I can see, you know, particular where my servers are. You know, are they online? We'll zoom this guy into our St. Louis office here. I can click on it. It's online. It's running. I can see the last time it was offline. Looks like it went offline earlier today, for example. I can also see different reports. So if I want to look at events by category type, so where am I getting most of my events, I can see which operators have viewed the most events. So if I want to take a look at, oh, Jeremy has viewed 40 alarms, I can see what types of those alarms are. I can also see events from the server. So, boy, this is a quick overview of seeing, do I have any problem children out there with all my sites? Why is this demo 1 generating twice as many alarms as the US demo 1, for example? Let me drill down into those. Am I seeing, you know, unplugged camera alarms? Am I seeing, you know, different types of events that could be creating those alarms? Each one of these reports are accessible individually. So you have your systems diagnostics reports, so the health of the system. You have your device reports, which is all about events. How many events am I getting per site, per server, per camera, per device that I've added to Arteco? And then your operator ranking, and that's all about users, right? Like, how many alarms has Steve managed versus Eric? You know, Steve's really doing the lion's share of the work. What's Eric doing? No offense, Eric. So, and then last but not least, what's really cool about this OMNIA Insight is you can set event subscriptions. So with event subscriptions, I can actually add a subscription for a particular camera. So maybe I want to say, you know, unplug cable alarm, for example. So I want that to come to a specific email. I'll choose just this guy. And I can also set notify if persistent event in a time span. So if I want to say, you know what, that camera's going up and down all the time. I know about it. I need to get out there and fix it. But what I really need to know is if that camera goes down for 60 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever that might be, I can actually set those alarms and have them trigger me an email alert. So that's really pretty advanced from a diagnostics tool. So with that, we are just at 10:46 on my clock here in Central Time. So I'm going to open it up for questions. First question I have is, can you use any browser for the web client? Yes, you can. It's completely browser agnostic. So it doesn't matter what you're going to be using that on. You can access it. Okay. No plugins required is a question mark, and I don't know if that means for browser or if that we kind of use plugins to mean, you know, anything that you would add to the VMS, such as VCA, for example, or face factor or access control. Those are what we would call plugins. So you're certainly available to add those. But no, if you're talking about a browser plugin, no, there's no like ActiveX controls or anything that you would need to add. Yes. Okay. Great question. Thank you for asking. Can you talk more about VSAAS, and can you use any hardware? Yes, for sure. So you can use any hardware. You can purchase hardware from us, or you can even roll that into, as long as you have 20 cameras or more per site, you can actually get our hardware as a service. And just in general, when we talk about VSAAS, we made the conscious decision to go with cloud managed versus cloud hosted. We will get to cloud hosted. We believe where the market is right now, the real value is in cloud managed, and that is precisely to do with cost and available storage. As you start going up past, 2 weeks of storage in a cloud hosted environment, the cost is exponential. So we really feel, we wanted to target that $7 to $10 per camera MSRP rather than that $30 to $50 per camera when it came to a cost standpoint. The other thing is, I don't want to say the jury's still out, but there's a lot of questions about, hosted recordings, right? Who actually owns those recordings? You're talking about evidence. You're talking about chain of custody. We've all seen the news with things that have happened with the likes of Verkada, where they've gotten in and have accessed this video and have shared it, at very, very, high security places like a prison or a hospital. So we made the very conscious decision to say, you know what, we sell commercially viable products at Arteco. We want, to be where the market is. So this allows us to really kind of take advantage of a lot of the benefits of cloud by being managed on the cloud, but still giving that customer that ownership of their storage, both from a privacy and encryption standpoint, and then also from a retention standpoint. But yes, you can use any hardware. It's obviously it's a Windows-based system. So other than that, and when I say that, I mean the VMS is Windows-based. The web client, the web client that we're looking at, OMNIA Web, you can use any platform. Does OMNIA support any sort of federation for interconnectivity between multiple long-distance locations? Yeah, so OMNIA, it's a server client architecture. So for basically once I sign into my online account, you can see where it says "Hello, Steve Berkmeyer." Then I'm free to add as many server or site locations as I want from an access standpoint. And it's transparent. I can have some cameras from one location on the same grid with cameras from another location. So once it's been added to my client software, it's all going to be pulled. That video is going to be pulled from each location, and you can access it from your client. How many lanes can the LPR server capture? It can capture up to 2 lanes currently. We still recommend it doing 1 lane. But with that wider field of view, you can get it going in both directions. More than likely, with the capabilities and what you can do just with one hardware, it's pretty cost effective to add the cameras and add LPR just to give you better coverage. But you can do up to 2. Great question. Thank you. With VSAAS, can I still integrate into third-party products such as access control, fire, third-party analytics, et cetera? Yes, for sure, 100%. It doesn't change the, as we can see, even, in this case, it doesn't change the overall experience with the product. What you're paying for is the VMS, right? That's the VSAAS is the VMS. But if you want to add, content analytics, if you want to add, face factor, if you want to add open connector for access control integration, all of that information will still come in through, it will still translate through over to the web client. So great question. I appreciate that. Yes, mapping is supported in the web client. So basically you have 2 options for mapping. You can either do the Google Maps. So in this case, it's a geolocation. I'm giving the coordinates from Google. If I just go to Google Map, find where that camera is, and I add those in, and then I have the geolocation, or I have static map mode. And with static map mode, you can access, whatever maps you have saved on a particular server. I don't think that site has any static maps. Let's try this one maybe. But yes, to answer your question on the mapping, the web client can do either the static maps, the same thing we saw in the desktop or the Google map. I'm just not sure why I'm not getting that to come up right now. So I'm going to go out of there just in case. That's user error. Is there any maintenance fees, annual fees with Arteco licensing? Okay, so great question. I'm glad you brought that up. So once again, we have two. We have our traditional on-prem VMS, which you have 2 years of free feature updates included in the price of buying that license. You can add additional years at the time of purchase, and there's a discounted rate to do that the more years you add. Or you can say, you know what, Arteco, I'll take your 2 years. I don't believe in extended warranties, as some people would say. And but guess what? In year 4, we come out with the world's greatest feature. You have to have it, or a camera company comes out with a new camera that wasn't supported when you purchased Arteco. You can get an a la carte upgrade, and that'll take you up to the front of the line and then give you 2 more years of free updates. So that's on the on-prem, the traditional VMS. If you are doing the VSAAS product, since it's a monthly charge for the cameras, for the licensing, you're always up to date. That's one of the key benefits of the VSAAS, is you are always up to date. Every time you sign in, you have the latest and greatest. Great questions, everybody. I really love the interaction. And really appreciate the questions. It shows that you know, what we're doing is along the right path, because there's a lot of interest here. As I mentioned, I will be recording. I have recorded this. We'll send this out. We do have another one tomorrow. We tried to do one in the morning and then one in the afternoon, just to kind of cover, you know, all the different time zones. So if there's, you know, people you want, you know, definitely have them, you know, reach out if they don't have the invite. How do I plot? Okay, just a couple more questions coming in. How do I plot devices on the geo map? So basically, when you have a camera, here, let me just find one here. I believe. Trying to remember how I did that. It's in it's in settings. Okay. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to go in and find the location where you want to put that map on the geolocation, and you can find that just in Google, right? If you go to Google Maps, you click on the address, it'll give you the actual coordinates, and then you're just going to input that into the platform itself. I'm not remembering off the top of my head where that goes in, but I know I've done it, so I'm actually the one who's done it, so it definitely is possible. I can find that out for you and get back to you on that. Under VSAAS, does that mean the NVR is also under warranty? Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that. I forgot that one. If you do hardware as a service, that's really one of the key benefits of the hardware as a service, is you can always maintain the warranty for your NVR. And the way we handle that is, let's say you have it for 3 years or 5 years, and you know it happens. You know, motherboards become obsolete; they become end of life. If that motherboard should die or anything like that, we would either replace the unit or give you, you know, the latest and greatest component on that side. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of hardware as a service, is that hardware is always under warranty. So thank you for asking that question, because I forgot about that part. Okay, well, I just want to say thanks to everybody. We are right at the end of the hour. It's been fantastic. I really appreciate the interaction. And please, for those of you who know us, you know we're pretty much an open book here at Arteco. Happy to continue this conversation. Happy to get out and do, you know, live demos. We're so happy to be traveling again and getting out in the field. So please reach out to me, reach out to Eric, Daniel, you know, our national channel manager, or inside sales manager, or myself. You know, we really are a cohesive team, and we look forward to seeing you out there. So thanks, everybody. Take care. I'll be sending out the link, and we appreciate it. Have a great day.